Well, welcome back to another episode of the Angler's Logbook. Today we are going to be teaching you everything you need to know about boating on Lake Wanaka. Hope you enjoy the episode. So before we get into the video, we just want to make it clear that we're not going to be covering safety rules other than a couple of just general provisos for Lake Wanaka. It's really important that you go and check this out for yourself because the rules are changing and we don't want to put out the rules that apply today only for you to watch this in a couple of years time and find that they're out of date. So we've left a link in the description below where you can go and check out the QLDC website, which is our local council. They have all the boating rules, so it definitely pays to go and check that out. Obviously make sure you're wearing a life jacket when you head out, and on Lake Wanaka you really want to pay attention to what the wind's doing. The nor'wester especially, it comes up really strong really quickly, and so that's a wind that we will always keep an eye on in the forecast before we go out. We make sure it's nothing too big. Obviously it depends on the size of your boat and your experience as to how strong that wind could be for you still to go out and feel comfortable boating in that. But we really recommend keeping an eye on that because it has caught a lot of people out in past, and the Coast Guard do get caught out quite regularly to boats that have been swamped and caught out from the waves that you get on Lake Wanaka, so please do be careful. So in today's video we'll be covering 4 main points. These are where to launch your boat on Lake Wanaka, great spots to go sightseeing or activities to do on the lake. We're going to be covering good spots or areas to go and do water sports activities like wakeboarding and water skiing, and then we're going to give you some general ideas on where you could go fishing. We're not going to give you all the ins and outs of our secret spots. You're going to have to put in the hard work yourselves and find out where it works, but we'll give you a little bit of an indication on that. So launching locations, there's quite a few spots where you can launch on Lake Wanaka, but what I'll do first is identify the names and then we'll give you a bit more in-depth detail on the ins and outs of these different locations that you can launch your boat. So there's Glendu Bay, there's Waterfall Creek, there's the Wanaka Marina, which is down in the township, Ely Point, the outlet, Dublin Bay, and then right at the top of Lake Wanaka is up near Makarora. There's a spot there as well we can launch if you're going to fish or boat around the top end of the lake, but that is the most prone to that northwest wind, so please do be careful if you're launching there. Glendu Bay, to be honest, we haven't done much boating there. Because we're based in Wanaka, it doesn't really make sense for us to head out there, but I know it is really popular, especially at summertime when the campground is full out in Glendu Bay. So if you are launching there at a peak time, do expect to be in for a bit of a wait to launch and retrieve your boat. It's not one that we use all that often. We'd rather launch in town here and then boat around to Glendu Bay if we're going to be fishing around in that area. Waterfall Creek is a good spot to launch if you're heading out around Rabbit Island or Motapu. It is a bit of a rocky beach there though, and so I wouldn't recommend launching there if your boat is over 6 meters long. It's just pretty hard on your trailer and pretty hard on your boat, especially if you've got a fiberglass boat, which is obviously the most common type on Lake Wanaka. But it is a good spot, nice and handy if you are on that part of town and just want something quick and easy and casual to launch your boat. Next is the Wanaka Marina, and this is where we would launch most of the time. It is the best facility by far on the lake, and it does have, I think there's 4 ramps there, a couple of big jetties, and a nice big car park, so it's really easy to launch and retrieve. And saying that, again, it's summertime, if it's peak season, you might have to walk up the road to go and get your trailer and pull back to the ramp because it is really hard to find parking there, but 99% of the year when we're fishing, it's no issue. There's a nice big car park there, so it's definitely one we'd recommend using. Ely Point's another place that you can launch. It is a bit more of a beach ramp, that one, but it does have a pretty good road down to the beach, so as long as you've got an all-wheel drive vehicle or a 2-wheel drive ute even, and you're pretty confident backing your trailer, it's a good spot. Normally you can have up to sort of 3 or 4 cars all launching and retrieving at the same spot, so again you can rotate through the launching traffic pretty quickly there. It is a good spot. If you're down that part of town, you might like to go there instead of the marina. Especially if you're at that peak summertime rush, it can be a better spot because there's a lot of parking there that you can make use of if you're launching at that area. The next one is the outlet. So the outlet, we haven't launched our own boat there only because it is a really shallow ramp. I'd really recommend this only for jet boats and possibly jet skis, but it is knee-deep water. It's really shallow, and it does go out for quite a long way before the water depth drops off. So I'd only recommend launching there if you are jet boating. Dublin Bay is another one. I'm not sure what the legality is, if you can actually launch there and keep the council happy, but I know people do. You really do need a good four-wheel drive with decent tyres to be able to launch there. It's a soft sandy beach, but it is a good spot to launch, and they do have a ski lane there, so it is popular if you're doing water sports activities. But if you are launching there, do watch out for children because it is shallow water there, and so it is really popular with young families and kids to be playing around and swimming there. But it is a beautiful spot, Dublin Bay. And then that just leaves up the top end. As we've already mentioned, it does get really strong winds there. We've had it up there before where we could see the wind coming up the riverbed by Makarora, and then by the time we've pulled in our lines and got ready to go, the winds hit and we've been in probably 1.5 to 2 meter waves with water spraying over the front of the boat. Luckily we were in a longboat and we were expecting that wind, so because of our experience we're quite comfortable still there, but that ramp does get really hard to retrieve on a northwest wind, but it is pretty good ramp for smaller boats or vehicles, and there is some really good fishing up there, so it is worth visiting on the right day, but do be careful and keep an eye out for dust coming down the riverbed there to give you an indication that that wind is on its way. So now that we've got the boat ramps out of the way, we want to give you a few good ideas on how you can get out on the lake and enjoy it. So these are a few spots that we've found after a few years of exploring here and spending our childhood summer holidays down here as well. So the first and probably one of the most well-known spots is Oahu Island. If you haven't been there before, it is an absolutely stunning walk. It's about a 20 to 30 minute walk from the beach up to the top. We've made a video on that, so we will put the card up in the corner if you want to go and check that video out, but it's sensational views. Well worth a visit, especially if you've got friends or family with you that have never been to this area before. It's a great place to go and see some magnificent views. It's really good facilities there. There's plenty of parking on the beach for boats, probably 8 or 10 boats can fit there, and there are barbecue facilities just near the beach as well if you do want to have a lunch or breakfast out there. Another spot is behind Oahu Island. This is one we uncovered in a fishing video where there's actually a waterfall. If you head just over the opposite side of the island from where you dock, and do be careful because there is a bit of a shallow shelf around the island, but if you head around there is a waterfall. I'm not sure in the middle of the summer whether there'd be any water coming through, but certainly in winter when we've been there, it's a really beautiful spot to go fishing under, or just go and check out and go for a swim under. So go and check that out if you are in the area. Another couple of spots that are really popular, Stevenson's Arm. It's just by the peninsula. You can go right up there. There's a couple of islands there that you can go and walk around. They're pretty small, but really good spots if you're going out with the family for the day with some young children. There is a bit of shade under trees there, and it's just a really good calm spot out of the wind if you do want to spend a day with the family. It does get really popular and busy, so you do need to have your wits about you boating in there and just watch out for any other boating traffic, but it is a great spot out of the wind. And then also nearby is Dublin Bay. So we already mentioned that you can launch your boat there, but it is a beautiful spot and it does have some good fishing on offer as well. So if you are in that area, a great spot to go and check out. It's really still great for an evening fish, or just for an explorer or doing water sports. All round great spot. And then probably our only other recommendation would be going and checking out the Matukituki outlet. So this is where it flows into, or the river flows into the lake, and man, it is a beautiful spot. We've fished out there quite a bit, and if you get it on the right day, it is just completely sheltered in there, especially from the nor'wester, and it will just be glassy, peaceful, there's no noise. Often fly fishermen just fishing off the beach, or people with pedal boards just cruising around, and it is just an absolutely beautiful spot. So go and check that out as well, worth a visit. So next up, best locations for water sports. Obviously on the lake, on the right day, you could do water sports wherever you want within reason, as long as you are being attentive to where the traffic is. The further up the lake you go, typically the quieter you go to find it, and the easier it is to get flat water, especially on those busy long weekends or summer holidays. And if you can get a day without the nor'wester, it's certainly great water sports further up the lake. If you don't want to go that far, then there are a couple of spots that we'd recommend. Stevenson's Arm, as we've already mentioned, is sheltered from that nor'west wind, and there is some beautiful boating in there. It is a bit narrow, so you do need to be really careful if you are doing things like biscuiting, even water skiing and wakeboarding. You do need to just be attentive to where those other boats are, but it's a great spot in there, or around towards Dublin Bay as well. Another real sheltered, beautiful spot to do that. And the water is a little bit warmer at Dublin Bay, we find, normally than out in the main area of the lake. So another really good spot is just north of Waterfall Creek. Just make sure between Ruby Island and Waterfall Creek that you're not boating in there, and if you are, just be really careful, because you get people swimming out around Ruby Island, and also a lot of kayakers and paddle boarders, and that can be quite hard to spot while you're boating, especially when you've got the excitement of someone out the back of the boat water skiing or wakeboarding. But if you head just to the north, if the nor'west is just picking up but it's not too strong, then that can be a great spot really close to town that is sheltered from the wind, and there is some really good boating around there. It is quite deep as well, around 70 meters deep in there, so it does mean that you don't need to watch out for too many rocks unless you're getting quite close to the shore. So that's a really good spot if you are looking for somewhere close to town to do some water sports. And then lastly, popular fishing locations. So as I mentioned, we're not going to give you all of our secret spots because we've worked hard to figure out where the fish are, but to be honest, there is good fishing right throughout the lake, and same as what we said with the water sports, the further you go up the lake, the less people that will be fishing that area, and we think the more fish there are going to be. We have done a video on how to fish when you're trolling behind the boat, so do go and check that out. We'll put another card up here if you do want to go and have a look at that. We did film that on Lake Wanaka as well, so it certainly is relevant to the lake here. But really anywhere around where you've got a catchment, a creek, a river flowing into the lake, there's often trout congregating around those areas. So just fish those shells and just try your luck. If you're trolling, it's pretty surefire way to catch a fish if you do put the time in. Otherwise, soft baiting is getting really popular, or just casting flies, fly fishing, spinners, anything like that. If you put the time in, you're going to have success. In saying that, there are a few spots that we would recommend checking out. Again, I think it must just be the spots that have it all really. Stevenson's Arm and Dublin Bay, they're really popular, although we don't do a lot of fishing there. A lot of people do have good success trolling up through there. It is a little bit shallower, so if you're fishing with a lead line, you just got to try and figure out where that perfect depth is that you're going to be fishing. I wouldn't fish with any diving rig or paraboat necessarily around those areas because of how shallow it is. I think you'd end up in the weeds quite a lot. But just a lead line, or even just tying a line out with a lure on the back there, you're going to have great success. A couple of other spots we're trying around Waterfall Creek. If you go around to the north there is some great fishing there, often brown trout or rainbow trout up through that area, and just great table fish. Haven't caught anything massive there, but it does seem to be pretty consistent for catching fish. Another spot close to that is around Edgewater Resort. Just fishing out from there is a really good spot as well. If you're targeting especially brown trout, you will catch the odd rainbow trout there, but again, it's great for that table fish sort of size. Beyond that, right up the top of the lake, I think that is some of the best fishing that we've had on Lake Wanaka. Get it on the right day, go up there early morning, it is magic, and we have caught some of our biggest salmon behind the boat there. So yeah, great spot to go fishing if you are after the big one. Put in a bit of time there, get it there on the right day, and you could have some really good success fishing. So we hope you've found this video helpful. We wanted to give you as much information as we can without giving away too many of our secrets, because we know that people don't like it if we give you spot X. although we'd be happy to share some of those spots with you. But hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you have, then please let us know in the comments, because we'd like to film some more of these videos. We could do one on Lake Wanaka if you're interested, and try and give you some of the inside knowledge, the local knowledge on these spots. But we are really excited to be launching our website shortly. It's the anglerslogbook.com, and there's going to be a whole lot of awesome products. I can't tell you about all of them now because we haven't launched, but do keep it on our social media, especially over on Instagram at the Angler's Logbook. We'll be releasing information on what we're going to be selling in the very near future over the next few weeks. We're so close to launching, and yeah, I can't tell you how excited I am to launch some of those products, because we've tested them and we are so happy with how they turned out, and we can't wait to share them with you and give you the opportunity to own some of these and try them out in the field. So do go check us out on Instagram, but otherwise we really appreciate you watching this video. We hope you found it helpful, and we do release videos every single week, typically on Friday New Zealand time at 5 p.m. So we'll catch you next week. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and get out on Lake Wanaka and get the boat wet and enjoy your time out there.